Is everybody still there?
Yeah.
Okay. It just got eerily quiet, like I got disconnected.
No. I suppose I'm technically the chair, so I have to call the meeting to order.
Yep, it's good to go whenever you'd like to.
All right, I'm just trying to find the agenda. Here it is. This is one of those meetings where I thought we were just going to discuss, and I kind of forgot we actually have an agenda to follow. So let's call it to order. And there are 4 of us here, so that'll be our roll call. And then we'll need an approval of the minutes from our meeting back in June 4th and June 16th and June 26th and July 31st.
So moved.
It just got eerily quiet, like I got disconnected.
No. I suppose I'm technically. I'll second it. All in favor of approving the minutes?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Minutes are approved. And then we'll move on to item D. Or section D, number 2 will be discussion of the 2021 Artscape budget.
Thank you, Mayor. One second, I will pull that up for you. Okay. Are you all able to see the budget?
Yes.
Okay, great. So this just shows, the last few years, how the funds have flowed in and out. Basically, last year we came into the year with $128,000, and we spent approximately $72,000, and brought us down to around the $55,000 mark at the start of this year. That was basically what was in the approved city budget. Since that time, there's been a contribution from a fire project, Alice Yards project, sort of an offshoot of that, which was a $20,000 contribution. So where we sit right now is at approximately $75,000. Again, last year we spent the $72,000 that was spent between the 4 murals that we did through our city-sponsored mural program, and then we also did grants towards, I believe it was 2 different murals, and so that sort of accounted for that $72,000 of spending. Just to give you an idea, if we were to do something similar this year, where it might fall generally, from a cost standpoint.
Sure.
That's my update on the budget. I'd be happy to take any questions or.
Do we need to approve this or just?
It's really just an update.
Okay.
To give the leadership group a sense of what we have to work with in 2021.
Okay. So we have money to do things, essentially.
We have money to do something.
Yeah. And the question is going to be what we want to do. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Good. Then let's. That being said, let's move on to item 3.
Thank you, Maria. This is we've received a proposal, a scope of services to assist with a potential 2021 mural program. This sort of mirrors what you see here is a breakdown of sort of the cost that went into the 2020 project. And this concept of the proposal that we've received now is sort of mirrors that. I think we've learned a lot from the first year's go around. I know I did.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think, there'll be less expenses from a consultant standpoint. We basically, it broke down, we spent about $20,000, 15 to 20 on the consultants, and then around 35-ish on the murals themselves, 35,000. So this proposal is from Katie Stensberg. She worked with Wallpapered City last year. She did a lot of the work that went into the project, a lot of the background work with putting the RFP out for artists, which is a big big thing that they assisted with in sorting through all those proposals and organizing them and all those things that go with that. And really their outreach nationwide with artists is a huge plus. And so Katie does, it sounds like, hold that much of that information that went through Wallpapered City. So Wallpapered City itself is not offering these services in the Milwaukee area this year, just from a background standpoint. That they were nice to work with last year, and Katie was kind of our main contact. This is Katie's proposal. Her scope of services. You can see her fee says, it's $55 per hour. Last year it was averaging, run by Stacy Williams, and that was around $60 an hour. There is no, she doesn't have, an up to price on this proposal. I mean, that might be something you may want to consider. But this would set it up to do a project similar to last year if that is what the group wanted. We can certainly go in other directions as well. But I just wanted to bring this forward as it is something that came in. And I know we have talked about maybe doing kind of a round 2 of the mural project. Be happy to take any questions, comments.
Thanks, Sean.
Mr.
I guess
Chair.
go ahead, Rebecca.
I was just going to ask, round 2, is that, are we going to build on the information we collected and put together last year? Or are we going to do some revisioning, or what does that look like when you say round 2?
Sure. Yeah, it's really either it's whatever the will of the committee is. If there are changes you'd like made, or things of that nature. I mean, the good thing that we have a lot of the complicated things were the specific agreements and the copyright rights and things like that. We have a lot of those templates in place to work off of, so that's helpful. But from what's going to be the vision of the project, the goals, you can certainly reset those. Really, whatever the leadership group would want, we can work off of last year's. It's kind of whatever you would like in that regard. So last year, I know it was.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, go ahead. Okay.
I was just going to say thanks. I think that's a good baseline to work off of. That's
Okay.
my opinion.
Yeah, I don't see any reason you would have to have another visioning session unless we felt like last year didn't achieve something.
No, I mean, there were a lot of artists, in my opinion, that we looked at their work that we did not select. There were a couple that were really impressive, but for various reasons didn't make it. But I've heard people say things like they'd love to have a mural that's more interactive. There was talk about I think it's in Nashville where there's some angel wings, or there's been, online images of the way people put themselves in the mural and take the photo and
Right.
post it all over social media. I'm thinking of if we were going to do, and I'm in favor of doing something else, but then it's just thinking ahead on hammering out the details of, do we want to try to go into a certain area? Do we just want to find, walls that might be a good fit no matter where these walls are geographically? I know some neighbors have talked about that railroad bridge underneath, or that goes under the tracks on Burnham, and about 50 or 60th and Burnham area. I think it's a couple blocks west of there, if I'm not
You
mistaken.
want unit drop forge?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's a whole wall there on the side
Mm-hmm.
of that road, which could be something cool. I also think, Beecher Street is an interesting lively corridor where if we would want to try to do something along there that could complement some of the activity and the action there. And the other question I just had, and I'm just kind of rambling, but and this might be kind of morphing into number 4, but maybe we want to try to touch on this now too, is there something else we want to do besides murals that is public art? And I don't know what that is. I don't have ideas, but are there things we've seen in other areas that we think would be cool to bring to our area?
Well, of course, this is Patrick. I would think we started exploring that lighting idea.
Yeah.
Some sort of lighting show would be kind of cool, but it's like, it's only temporary, right?
Right. Right.
The other thing I saw recently, and they have a little bit of this by Discovery World, where sculptures that move with the wind. They're made out of, artist is in New Zealand, but he made carbon fiber sculptures that move with the wind. And they're very light, but they're very strong. And it's one of the coolest things I've ever seen.
Well, and there is also made me think of the Nedcon Sculptures down by Discovery World, where the leaves are kind of metallic, and when the wind blows,
Yeah.
they kind of look like they're fluttering.
Right. See if I can find this.
One of
Otherwise,
the-
just murals, yeah.
One of the things I was thinking about was that wayfinding sign on 70th Street. I don't know if there's a way to incorporate some type of art in there, because we really need to work to replace or improve that. 'cause
Yeah, I
it's
just drove by that coming back today.
falling apart. So I don't know if that would be something to see if we could, bring some art in as a component of that replacement project.
Good idea.
And the skate park sign.
That's back.
And we're not we're not deciding today, right? We're just kind of getting up to speed. I mean, I'm all for proceeding with working with Katie.
So that's one decision. If you would like to make it today, or if you'd like me to come back with something else, I can. But that is one decision you could make today to sort of kick that off.
Sure.
I think that makes sense too, but I would probably like the not to exceed.
Right.
Sure.
Could we conditionally add that not to exceed? What amount to put in there is a question. Like I said, we spent on the consultant itself last year with Wallpapered City. We spent about 20,000. But they did also help with sort of that all that kickoff stuff and sort of creating the general vision and all that. And I think some of that we aren't going to need to do this time, like we talked about. So. I don't know, 15,000.
That would probably be reasonable. Should I make a motion?
Sure.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve that with 15,000 for the staff. How would you classify that? Staff time or?
Consultant time.
Okay, consultant time.
I'll second.
Okay. If there's no discussion, all in favor? Aye.
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 Anyone opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries.
Okay. Thank you. The other thing I just had on here what a schedule might look like. We all know this ebbs and flows, but I just wanted to give you a reasonable, a concept of what it could look like based on last year's experience. So this just sort of breaks it down, and it looks like we could have, mural installations maybe sometime in August. If we just talked, late summer, fall would be probably a reasonable goal. And then locations, that was a challenge. And I know Mayor started talking about this, but that was a challenge. If you remember last year, we had focused on the 6 Points area initially, and we just couldn't get the type of traction we had expected to get, and so we had to expand the area. And so that's one of the first decisions, obviously, we need to make is, who do we work with a consultant on, trying to attract to put a mural on their building, I guess. These are the areas we talked about last year for locations. Mayor, you mentioned Burnham Point and Beecher. Those are areas we didn't explore last year, so maybe it makes some sense that way. I don't know what others think about that, or if we want to, we can certainly come back to that question if you would like to, if you all would like to think about it. And
Is there any thought? I know we explored all these sites, but as we were trying to do some creative things for the Highway 100 corridor, is that out of question?
I don't see why. I mean, just not just speaking from a could you get it done standpoint, I think, yeah, I don't see why it would be an obstacle that way. I don't know what Mayor and Rebecca think.
Who owns because when I talked to engineering about the bridge on Burnham, I thought that we owned the base, but the railroad owned the bridge.
That would be something we need to explore.
Yeah, engineering laid out a pretty detailed. It's something like that, Mayor. Yeah.
So that would make, if we choose an area that has a railroad underpass, that would make at least one easy location for a mural if we choose that we wouldn't have to negotiate with the building owner because we own it.
Right.
So that's one small factor to consider.
I was just going to mention that, if we can focus on an area where we have other projects going on, I think that's a good idea, like Burnham Street. I don't know if there's some place where a mural or some type of public art could fit in there.
Yeah.
Yep. That's where that bridge would be good. And then another location over there specifically that came up as part of the Better Block project is the factory itself, sort of at the base of it, where it sort of wraps around, where Burnham, it kind of wraps around where El Pastor used to be. Sort of at the base of the factory, there's a really cool space where you could do something interesting. I don't know if they'd be willing to do that, but.
And I think last year, Claudia at Burnham Bowl indicated she would be interested in their wall as a possibility.
Yeah.
But the thing I think we need to, in the Burnham Point neighborhood, I think that would be good there, but I think we also need to still find a way to get some more lively investment in that neighborhood. We can work on our portions of, that lot we're converting and the networking with the businesses, but we really need to get those. And I know we're working on it, but just as a complementary piece, we can't just put up murals and build a park and then have the same amount of empty, or not empty, but just under effervescent buildings is what I would say.
Understood. Yep.
We agree.
It's got to be a holistic thing, not just a piecemeal thing. And I think the Beecher Street corridor is interesting too. But that almost is sort of, well, I think that might be a good, if we go from 68th and Beecher and go east, down underneath the railroad bridge and towards Burnham Point, maybe that could be the area of focus.
True.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of energy going on there too.
Yeah, and it may try to connect, maybe have a little connecting effect where as you go east, you run into that pollinator garden that the East Alice Association did. There's, like we said, that wall along the road at ground level, plus the wall on the Foundry, plus Burnham Bowl, plus maybe something around Beecher and 68th. You know, that could be the stretch right there.
I like that area.
Potentially. And there's that sculpture that I think is for sale. That's directly west of that pollinator garden.
Up on the hill on Don Source's property.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like a water thing. So it's like
Yes.
leaves.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could be a good, kind of cohesive corridor, building on the momentum of up on Beecher and then carrying it down to Burnham.
Yeah.
I like that stretch.
Me too.
That's good.
Okay, we can set that as our goal, and then if there are other thoughts, feel free to share them along the way. But we can shoot for some of those properties as our initial go around.
I think that sounds good. I mean, a tentative, yeah.
Okay.
And then I kind of sort of moved us into item 4 inadvertently, but just looking at the agenda, if we want to just talk about item 4 any further.
Yeah,
We're bringing back the hawk, Sean.
that's the goal before I retire.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Love
It might
it.
have to be after Rebecca retires, but I don't know.
Yeah, give it about 10 or 12 years.
Okay. Fine. I promise only to show it once a year.
I thought you liked the hawk, Rebecca.
No, I don't like either of those things.
Oh, you didn't like either. I
You
know
don't
it
like
was
the hawk, or what was the other one?
the astronaut, but
Oh.
just ignore me. I don't like a lot of things. So it doesn't matter.
But no, yeah, this is on the agenda just in case anybody has other types of projects would like to look into, or agenda items for the next meeting, or anything of that nature.
Is there something we could do? I know I was just on a call yesterday with MMSD, and they're going to be doing some visioning type of things over at 6 Points and Liberty Heights, for different type of water projects. But is there something we could do at maybe one of the parks that's more of like, I know Mayor, you were talking about interactive art, but is there some type of other interactive things like sculptures or activities that are art related that we could put in one of our parks or look at putting into one of the parks? So it's more of a destination, maybe an underutilized park or something.
I think I've seen, or we've talked about some sculptures that are kind of interactive. I think there's another one down by the lakefront that has little pebbles on the ground, and the kids can drop the pebbles into the top of the sculpture and they kind of trickle through and make musical noise.
Really?
Yeah.
We can get a stuffed hawk.
A hawk sculpture.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I still like the concept of having a giant vegetable or fruit at the farmer's market, a bigger.
Oh, I like that concept too.
I know we've talked
Yeah.
about that for a while. the Instagrammable West Dallas Farmers Market green pepper or something like that.
We could, I mean, that could be, that's how we got those tile mosaics that are on the walls at the farmers market. We, years ago, we commissioned those, and we could do something similar if there's a want for that,
Yeah.
at the market. Something out in front, you're probably thinking like out in the parking lot.
Yeah,
area.
or up against one of the end walls maybe, or that's always been a thought of mine.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I think we should just start searching the internet. It's not, I mean, just Google, interactive sculptures, interactive park sculptures.
I just came across large pears, and then in China, a large bok choy.
Really? Wow.
I don't think we want a large bok choy.
No.
No.
Is there something we talked about this too when we had those early meetings with MMSD that are leading up to this project? Tying in public art with water management or what
I think
don't
that's a
know.
good idea. Yeah,
And then
there's got to
maybe
be something.
doing it at the market or somewhere over there.
Yeah, there's got to be some examples. Maybe when you guys are on vacation, you can find something.
Yeah,
Next
make it a
week.
homework project.
I have to admit, I've always been a big fan of doing something artistic with solar. There are some examples out there of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are some things in Asia that they use solar to light up light shows at night. It's pretty cool.
I just think too of like there's that I guess it's a sculpture at the zoo, which is the giant globe with the water kind of spilling over it, and all the kids go up and kind of spin it and push it. It's like a big dark onyx fountain or something like that. It's I think it's right before you go into like the bat house or something on one of those side buildings. But I mean, Chicago's got that one that's at Millennium Park that spits water out. It's like a giant changing faces.
Yep.
That's pretty cool. I'm just looking on my tablet and there's some giant rings that go over trails that you walk through.
So if we set a goal of doing something a little bit more interactive, either at a park or with water or solar, that might be kind of a new thing for this year.
Yeah.
Or kinetic, something with wind.
I'm looking at something on I don't know where it is though. Magic Mountain in Germany. And it's like a metal sculpture. It looks like a roller coaster, but people walk on it.
All right.
Which will probably be our entire budget, but it's fun to dream.
In fact, when you're heading south, you're going through Birmingham. On top of a mount overlooking Birmingham, there's an iron sculpture. And I can't remember the name of it. It's a huge sculpture they have looking over the city of Birmingham.
Okay.
There's a bluff overlooking Birmingham, and Birmingham has old foundry type of national historical museum of some sort for steel work.
Okay. So I think our plan should be to do some homework and bring some ideas to our next meeting as far as like interactive or solar or water feature or things like that.
All right.
Got it. I'll add that to the agenda for the next meeting.
A giant mushroom. And you could sit on it or take, pictures by it or something. Because we sell mushrooms at the farmer's market. That'd be kind of cool.
That's going to cue up some Alice in Wonderland jokes.
Yeah, probably.
There's a giant lit up rhinoceros. I don't know where it is though. interactive light projections produce futuristic sculptures. It's also in Germany.
Yes. One of the other artistic communities down there is Chattanooga.
Okay.
Down south, they have a big art scene.
All right.
Cool.
Good.
That gives us some direction.
I'm sorry.
Nope, thank you. That gives us direction.
Yeah, I was just going to say one other thing to think about too is we might want to start at some point, maybe not this year, but next year, is set some money aside for maintenance budget down the road when our murals start to age, if we are going to be completely redoing them or if we're going to be touching them up. And I thought Wallpapered City had said that we pretty much get like 10 years out of a mural, or 5 to 10 years out of a mural, and then they redo them, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's the exact same thing the artist said about the one downtown here. He said, I think every 5 years they paint over them.
Yeah.
5 years. Yeah. I mean, that's what she was trying to kind of, I would say, nicely kind of let us know, like, they're not permanent, typically 5, yeah, like you said, Mayor, 5 to 10 year life cycle. And that's just, it's paint, right? So, maybe we just change them out after 5 years, or, if the building owner is willing, or,
Yeah.
what have you.
Good. Well, that's everything on the agenda. Is there anything else we need to touch on?
I don't have anything else.
So we'll just get a meeting with Katie then and start the discussion. That'd be our next step.
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
And bring back examples.
Yes, homework and Katie.
Yes.
Awesome. All right, then
Motion to adjourn.
A second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
All right, we'll see ya.
Bye-bye.